The message came in the dead of night, transmitted through a channel no one in the Galactic Council had thought to monitor. A simple phrase, but its implications would ignite the biggest conflict the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity has developed a weapon capable of defeating us. At that moment, aboard the Council's flagship, the Ithar Expanse, Commander Zerath of the Kyrithian stiffened. His fingers hovered above the holographic control panel as the data streamed in, detailing the rise of a new, audacious force that had, until now, been largely ignored. The humans. The weak, insignificant species from Earth. He dismissed the thought at first, scoffing at the idea of such a primitive race holding the kind of power to challenge the might of the Council. But the message was clear, its source undeniable. Earth was not just expanding, it was evolving, and its technology was evolving faster than any alien could have predicted. Worse still, their warriors had developed an unthinkable capacity for violence. No other species had ever survived on their homeworld's terms as humanity had. The Council had decided long ago that humanity would be contained. From their chaotic wars to their primitive social structures, humans were viewed as a dangerous but manageable inconvenience. A minor threat at best. At worst, they were an anomaly in the galaxy's grand design, an evolutionary misstep that would, in time, be snuffed out. But now, as Commander Zerath read through the intercepted intelligence, the chilling realization set in. Humanity was no longer the naive species they had once believed it to be. They were becoming something far more dangerous. And this time, they weren't waiting to be conquered. The Council's decision. Zerath rose from his seat, his reptilian eyes narrowing, as he turned toward the Council's representatives. They had gathered in the central chamber, preparing to finalize their plans for a swift strike against Earth. The idea of quelling humanity's newfound power with overwhelming force had already been agreed upon. Their fleet was massive. Their technology was unrivaled. The Council had fought and won countless wars for millennia. What could one planet possibly do to stop them? The Kyrithian's tail flicked nervously. He had never been one to question the Council's wisdom, but this information was something he could not ignore. Still, his fears were dismissed quickly. The Tsdr, the ancient and powerful species that dominated the Council, spoke first. Let them play their little games, High Overlord Krasin said dismissively. We've crushed rebellion after rebellion. One more minor insurrection will barely make a ripple in the galaxy. The other Council members muttered in agreement, each of them confident in their technological superiority. None of them had ever faced a real threat from a species as young as humanity. Their arrogance blinded them to the truth that was already unfolding in the distant reaches of the galaxy. Commander Zerath swallowed hard but remained silent. He could see that his objections would be futile. The Council was already determined. The decision was made. Earth would be subdued, its burgeoning fleet annihilated, before it could grow into a true threat. A final strike would come, and the galaxy's balance would remain intact. However, Zerath's instinct told him that this would not be an easy victory. He had seen firsthand how quickly humanity adapted in times of crisis. They were resilient, and that made them unpredictable. If humanity had truly developed something capable of changing the balance of power, this could be a conflict unlike any the galaxy had seen before. But for now, his concerns would remain unspoken. As the Council's representative called for the strike to begin, Zerath's tail lashed behind him in agitation. He had no choice but to follow orders, but deep down, he knew this was a mistake. They had underestimated humanity. Something he was beginning to fear might cost them everything. The alien fleet was overconfident. As they descended on Earth's orbit, they expected an easy victory. One more planet to be crushed beneath the weight of the Galactic Council. What they didn't know was that humanity wasn't as helpless as they had assumed. As the first shots were fired, the alien ships quickly realized that they had made a grave mistake. For a moment, the invaders seemed to halt in their advance. A sense of confusion rippled through their ranks. The humans had prepared. The humans had weapons. And these weapons weren't anything the Council had seen before. A fleet of human warships, sleek and deadly, emerged from the shadows of the moon. Their design was unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered, highly advanced, yes, but there was something else. Something more primal. Something that screamed survival. The counterattack begins. The first volley of human fire shattered the calm of space. Brilliant beams of energy cut through the blackness, lighting up the void as Earth's warships engaged the alien armada. Captain Alina, the commander of the human fleet, issued a swift order, her voice calm and steady, even as the chaos unfolded. She had been preparing for this moment her entire career. This was what Earth's forces had been training for, their first real test in the vastness of space. The human ships moved with precision, their sleek hulls cutting through space as though they had been born to fight. Each warship was armed with weapons the alien fleet had never seen, their lasers precise and devastating. The Council ships, massive and formidable, were suddenly on the defensive. Their shields flickered under the assault, and some began to buckle under the strain. Return fire. Zerath, commander of the alien fleet, bellowed, his voice filled with disbelief. The Kyrithians had fought wars for centuries, but nothing like this had ever happened. The human vessels were unlike any they had fought before. They fought with a determination that was both terrifying and relentless. As the alien ships fired back, Captain Alina's fleet maneuvered with deadly efficiency. The humans knew their environment better than anyone. They used the moon's gravity to their advantage, drawing the enemy in closer before launching surprise attacks from unexpected angles. The aliens, used to overwhelming superiority in firepower, were now faced with a foe that could strike without warning, from places they didn't expect. The battle raged on, a dance of laser fire and energy shields, but humanity's advantage was clear. The aliens had underestimated their enemy's ability to adapt and fight in space. They had underestimated humanity's resolve. Tactical genius unleashed. As the battle unfolded, human soldiers aboard the warships were already preparing for the next phase of the fight. The aliens were tough, but humans were tougher. More than just their advanced technology, humans had something far more dangerous, their instincts. Earth had long been a planet of constant conflict, and humans had adapted to that harsh reality. They had learned to survive, to fight for their place in the universe. And now, that survival instinct was guiding them. In the heart of the human fleet, Alina watched her screens, her eyes cold with focus. She knew this was just the beginning. The alien fleet may have been powerful, but humanity had more tricks up its sleeve. They had adapted, learned from their mistakes, and now they were ready to push back. The alien ships began to falter. A few of their vessels, their pride and joy, began to fall apart, struck by the unrelenting human fire. Zerath's fleet was in disarray, unable to keep up with the sudden change in tactics. The humans had not only anticipated their every move, they had outsmarted them. Prepare for Phase 2, Captain Alina ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos. It wasn't over yet. The Council would retaliate. They would not go down without a fight. But Earth's warriors were prepared. Turning the tide. Aboard the human flagship, the strategy was beginning to pay off. The alien ships were beginning to retreat, their formation scattering in disarray. But it wasn't just the tactics that had shifted the momentum. It was the shock of the sudden resistance. The Council hadn't expected a challenge from humanity. They had assumed the humans would fall easily, as so many others had before them. But the truth was simple. Humanity had never been a race to submit quietly. When threatened, when cornered, humans fought back with everything they had. And now, as the first alien ship exploded in a burst of fiery light, the Council's fleet knew one undeniable truth. They had underestimated their enemy. In the distance, Earth's moon loomed large, a silent witness to the battle unfolding in space. Humanity was not finished. They had proven their worth. And the Galactic Council would have to decide, adapt or perish. The alien fleet was reeling. For the first time in centuries, the great galactic conquerors were forced to retreat. But as the remaining warships limped back into deep space, A new question began to arise among the ranks of the Galactic Council. Asterisk, what if the humans were not just a threat? What if they were something worse? Asterisk. On the battlefield, the human fleet had already begun to regroup. Captain Alina's voice cut through the chaos, her orders precise and unyielding as she guided her forces into new positions. The aliens had thought themselves invincible. They had been wrong. The battle had only begun to reveal what humanity was capable of. The aliens had underestimated Earth in every way, its technology, its will, and most dangerously, its people. What the Council failed to realize was that humanity had not just survived through violence. It had thrived because of it. Every trial, every war, every challenge had shaped them into something more than a mere species. They had evolved into apex predators, humanity's true strength. The alien retreat was not a sign of victory. It was a first step in the realization of a horrifying truth. The humans were not just capable of fighting back. They had been preparing for this moment their entire existence. Earth had been a crucible of conflict for millennia, and every war, every skirmish had taught humanity how to survive, how to adapt, and above all, how to win. In the deepest corners of human society, there had always been a recognition of this primal force. Earth's history was not one of peaceful cooperation. It was a history of struggle, of survival against odds that would break lesser species. From the savage tribes of prehistory to the global conflicts of modern times, humanity had always risen to meet the challenge. Now, that ancient instinct was alive and well. The Council's fleets had been an obstacle, one that humanity was prepared to dismantle. Captain Alina understood the stakes better than anyone. For years, Earth had been quietly building, watching, learning. The aliens had made the mistake of thinking they could crush humanity with their superior firepower. But they didn't understand the fundamental truth. Earth's power wasn't just in its technology. It was in its people. The call to action. As the humans continued to strike against the alien armada, it became clear that their tactics were not just military. They were psychological. Earth's soldiers had been trained not only to fight, but to outthink and outlast. Every alien move was countered before it could unfold. Every strategy was anticipated. Humanity's strength lay in its adaptability, its ability to turn the tables at the last possible moment. On the front lines, human soldiers adapted with every passing hour. They fought not just to survive, but to dominate. Every alien ship destroyed was not a victory, it was a message. Humanity was not just a survivor, it was a conqueror in the making. In deep space, on the precipice of this newfound war, humanity's apex predators had been awakened. But the rest of the galaxy had no idea what they were about to face. The Council's fleet was already losing ground, but this was not just a fight for survival. This was a fight for dominance. Humanity had tasted the power of being on the offensive, and it would not let go. The unseen enemy. Back on Earth, the leaders knew that this was just the beginning. The Council would return stronger and more determined. But humanity had something the Council didn't. A driving force that no alien race could understand. Humanity's desire to push forward, to conquer, was a fire that could never be extinguished. Even as the alien ships retreated, humanity's eyes were already set on the stars. They had taken the first step in a long war, but it would not end with this battle. The true struggle was just beginning. The Council had underestimated the one force they could never defeat, the drive of an apex predator that had learned to conquer its environment. With each passing day, humanity was becoming something more than just a threat to the galaxy. It was becoming the galaxy's greatest force, a power so formidable that the Council would have no choice but to bend to it. This was humanity's time, and no one, not even the most powerful fleets in the galaxy, the Galactic Council, had never faced an enemy like this. As their fleets retreated from Earth's orbit, their confidence shattered. The Council convened in a secret emergency meeting. For the first time in centuries, they feared for their survival. The humans, it seemed, were not just fighting back, they were dominating. And now, the Council's pride demanded a response that would either crush humanity forever or shatter their grip on the galaxy. Enough, High Overlord Krasin growled, slamming a massive fist onto the table. We will no longer tolerate this. The humans will kneel, or they will be erased. The other members of the council murmured in agreement. The Tzr, the ancient race that had once ruled the galaxy, had never been faced with such unrelenting resistance. The Kyrithians, too, felt their once invincible fleets faltering under the onslaught of human strategy. They could no longer afford to underestimate Earth. They would respond with the only weapon they had left, their ultimate weapon, the final weapon. In the far reaches of the galaxy, hidden away in a military stronghold, the Council's last line of defense was being prepared. It was a weapon so destructive that no planet had ever survived its use. The Zorath Sphere, a massive energy core capable of obliterating entire worlds, was humanity's true test. This weapon had been reserved for only the most dire situations, a weapon that could wipe Earth off the map in an instant. As the sphere's core was activated, the once silent laboratories hummed with a terrifying energy. The Zorath Sphere was the pinnacle of the Council's technological might, a weapon that harnessed the power of a collapsing star. Once deployed, it would unleash a shockwave so powerful that not even Earth's defenses could survive the blast. There would be no warning, no time for the humans to react. Back in the Council's chambers, the leaders prepared for the final strike. Their fleets had been damaged, but this weapon, this last act of desperation, would be enough to eradicate Earth's forces completely. This would be the end. The humans had pushed too far. The human response. Captain Alina sat in her command center, the weight of the upcoming battle pressing down on her. She had seen the damage humanity's fleet had caused, but she knew the Council would not go down without a fight. Her fingers hovered over the control panel, already preparing her forces for a counterattack. The Zorath Sphere was coming, and it was humanity's greatest test. But she was not worried. Over the last few months, Earth had built something more than just ships and weapons. They had built a strategy, a way to outthink the enemy, to understand their tactics and turn them against the invaders. The Council might have its ultimate weapon, but humanity had something the Council could not comprehend, a will to survive at all costs. And that would be their weapon. Prepare the fleet, Alina ordered, her voice calm but resolute. We'll hit them where it hurts. We've taken down their best, and now it's time to end this. For good. The battle was far from over. Earth's fleet, while battered, was stronger than ever, and its leaders had a plan. The human ships were faster, more agile, and most importantly, unpredictable. They could move through the chaos of space like no other fleet in the galaxy. But even with all their advantages, Captain Alina knew that they could not rely solely on their strength. They would need to use their intelligence, their adaptability, to outmaneuver the Council and destroy the Zorath Sphere before it could be deployed. A deadly game of cat and mouse. The chase began. The alien fleet, deploying their final weapon, advanced toward Earth at full speed. But the humans were already one step ahead. As the alien ships neared Earth's orbit, humanity's fleet split into multiple smaller groups, each strategically positioned to harass the Council's forces and keep them off balance. The Council, desperate to deploy the Zorath Sphere, found themselves unable to maintain their tight formation. The human fleet, using the moon's gravity to their advantage, hit hard and fast, never giving the aliens a moment to breathe. In the chaos, several of the Council's warships were destroyed, their crews scrambling to regain control. Captain Alina watched the holographic displays as the battle unfolded. The Zorath Sphere was still a few moments away from being fully activated. She knew this was the moment that would define humanity's future. They had one shot to destroy the weapon before it could be unleashed. And if they failed, Earth would be no more. Prepare to engage, Alina ordered, her voice steady, even as her heart raced. We take down that sphere now. The final strike. The human fleet surged forward, cutting through the alien defenses with precision. In a bold move, Alina's flagship broke through the enemy lines, heading straight for the Zorath Sphere. The alien ships tried to regroup, but they were too late. As the human ships fired their weapons, the Zorath Sphere's energy shields flickered and then failed. With a single devastating blow, the weapon was destroyed. The Council's last gambit had failed. Humanity had won again. As the final alien warships retreated, Captain Alina allowed herself a brief moment of triumph. The battle was over, but the war was far from finished. The Council had been dealt a blow, but they would return. And humanity, now more than ever, was ready. The battle had barely ended, but Earth was already on the edge of a new, terrifying reality. The Council had been forced to retreat, their fleets shattered, their ultimate weapon destroyed. Yet in the aftermath of their desperate strike, a new revelation surfaced. A secret weapon, humanity's last and most dangerous creation, was about to be unleashed. Deep within the underground facilities of Earth's most secure military base, Dr. Ian Marcus, the lead scientist behind the secret weapon, stared at the containment chamber before him. The energy core within it hummed softly, a low, ominous pulse that made the walls around him vibrate. It was ready, humanity's trump card. But there was one problem. No one truly knew what would happen when it was activated. For years, Dr. Marcus had worked in secrecy, isolated from the rest of the world's governments and militaries. He had studied the alien technologies that Earth had captured in the early stages of the war and reverse engineered them, crafting a weapon that could potentially end the conflict in a single stroke. The only question that remained was whether it would be enough, or if it would destroy everything in its path. A weapon unlike any other. The weapon was a fusion of humanity's most advanced technology and the stolen knowledge from the Council's defeated forces. Dr. Marcus had created a device that harnessed energy on a scale never seen before. It had the potential to decimate entire fleets with a single pulse, but the cost was unknown. It was powered by the very same energy that fueled the Zorath Sphere, an unstable, cataclysmic force that, if misused, could tear apart not just Earth, but the very fabric of space itself. As the device pulsed again, the low hum grew louder. The chamber was filled with a soft, blue light as the energy began to stabilize. Dr. Marcus hesitated. He had worked tirelessly to ensure the weapon's functionality, but now, standing before it, he felt an unfamiliar fear. The destruction it could cause wasn't just aimed at the Council anymore. It could destroy the entire galaxy if unleashed carelessly. Outside the facility, military personnel anxiously monitored the developments. Humanity had already proven its ability to fight, but now they were on the verge of something far more dangerous. If the weapon could be deployed without disaster, they would have the upper hand in the war. But at what cost? The decision. Captain Alina, who had led humanity's fleet through countless battles, now stood in the command center, staring at the reports streaming in from Earth's military intelligence. The Council was regrouping, rearming. Another wave of attack was inevitable. Her gaze drifted to the holographic display of the galaxy, showing alien forces retreating but not vanquished. They were preparing for their next move. Humanity's war was far from over. Captain, a voice broke her concentration. It was Colonel Barrow, a trusted ally. Dr. Marcus is ready to deploy the weapon. It's up to you. We need to end this now. Alina's fingers hovered over the display, contemplating the decision. Humanity had been on the edge of collapse for so long. Now, for the first time, they had the power to strike decisively. The question was whether they could control it, whether they could wield this kind of power without destroying themselves in the process. The weapon's ready, Barrow said, his voice tense. But we can't afford a failure. Alina looked at him, her expression hardening. We won't fail. We can't. As the decision weighed heavily on her, the door to the command center opened, and Dr. Marcus walked in, his face drawn with exhaustion. He had spent countless hours perfecting the weapon, but even he knew its potential consequences. It's done, Marcus said quietly. The weapon is stable. It can be deployed at any moment. But I must warn you, its power is unlike anything we've ever encountered. It's not just a tool of destruction. It's a game changer. Then let's use it, Alina replied, her resolve firm. She knew what had to be done. Earth could not survive another full-scale invasion, not with the Council regrouping and their fleets growing in strength. The weapon had to be deployed. A moment of reckoning. Dr. Marcus hesitated for just a moment before nodding, his face etched with uncertainty. Once we unleash it, there's no turning back. The galaxy won't be the same. We'll be changing the course of history, for better or worse. Alina's eyes locked with his. We don't have a choice. With that, the final command was given. Humanity's secret weapon was ready to strike. As the hum of the weapon filled the chamber, a sense of finality settled over the room. The decision had been made. There would be no turning back. Humanity was about to wield a power the galaxy had never seen. Whether it would be their salvation or their undoing, only time would tell. The rift in space stretched wider, its edges crackling with dangerous energy, threatening to tear apart the very fabric of the universe. Humanity's fleet stood at the precipice of annihilation, facing not just the remnants of the Galactic Council, but something far worse, an ancient enemy that had been watching, waiting for this moment. It wasn't just a battle for survival anymore. It was a battle for the future of the galaxy itself. Captain Alina stood in the command center, staring at the chaos unfolding before her. The Council had underestimated humanity, but now they were about to face a far greater threat. The rift was growing, and the mysterious force on the other side had begun to make its move. Captain, we're losing control of the rift, a voice called out from behind her. Lieutenant Kira was at the control panel, her face grim. If we don't stabilize it soon, it will engulf the entire system. All of Earth will be pulled in. Alina didn't respond immediately. The weight of the situation hung in the air. They had already survived the Council's relentless onslaught, outwitting and outgunning them at every turn. But this was different. They had never faced an enemy like this before. The rift wasn't just a weapon, it was a doorway, and whatever was on the other side was coming through. The enemy revealed. The first alien ship to emerge from the rift was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. It was massive, its dark hull shimmering with a strange, otherworldly light. As it powered through the rift, the surrounding space warped, distorting the stars and the moon. For a moment, everything seemed to freeze, as if the universe itself held its breath. Then, more ships followed, emerging from the rift in waves. Each one was more terrifying than the last, alien vessels that appeared to be made of pure energy, their forms shifting and morphing as though they were alive. The air around them crackled with an intensity that made the human fleet's weapons seem almost insignificant. They're not just aliens, Lieutenant Kira whispered, her voice barely audible. They're ancient. They've been waiting. Captain Alina's gaze hardened. She knew what she had to do. Earth had fought hard to survive this long, but now they faced a threat beyond their comprehension. These weren't just invaders. They were the galaxy's forgotten nightmare, creatures that had been sealed away for eons, and now they were free. A battle for survival. The human fleet scrambled to form defensive positions, their ships moving at breakneck speed. But the enemy was unlike any force they had faced before. The strange alien ships darted in and out of the rift, attacking with such speed and ferocity that the humans could barely react. Their weapons seemed to phase in and out of reality, making them impossible to counter with conventional defenses. Alina's voice cut through the chaos. All units, focus on the largest ship. We need to take down their command vessel, or we won't have a chance. Her fleet moved as one, firing everything they had at the massive enemy vessel. But their weapons passed through it as though it were made of smoke, ineffective against the shifting energy of the ship. The battle was futile. The enemy ships tore through humanity's forces with ease, their superior technology and agility overwhelming the human fleet at every turn. We're losing ships, Kira said urgently. We need a new strategy. Alina's mind raced. They had to do something. The fate of humanity rested on their ability to adapt, to fight with everything they had. The rift was unstable. If they could somehow use that to their advantage, they might be able to stop this ancient force before it consumed everything. The last hope. As the alien ships closed in, ready to finish the fight, Alina made a decision. It was reckless, it was dangerous, but it was the only option left. Set a course for the rift, she ordered. We're going in. The crew stared at her in disbelief. "Captain, that's insane," Kira protested. "If we enter the rift, we'll either destroy them or be destroyed," Alina interrupted. "But if we don't act now, they'll tear everything apart." With a single command, the human flagship charged forward, its engines roaring as it headed straight for the rift. The alien ships followed, not realizing what was about to unfold. As they entered the rift's distorted space, the human ship unleashed everything it had: laser cannons, energy pulses, every weapon in its arsenal. The force was overwhelming, sending shock waves through the rift, destabilizing it further. The rift began to collapse. The alien ships, caught in the chaos, struggled to maintain their position. One by one, they were pulled into the collapsing rift, their ships disintegrating in a brilliant burst of energy. For a moment, there was silence. Then, as the rift collapsed into nothingness, Captain Alina allowed herself a breath. The enemy was gone, but the cost had been high. Humanity's victory came at the price of untold destruction, and though the galaxy was safe, for now, Alina knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning of a new era, one where Earth would rise, stronger than ever.